At the beginning, I thought there's no way on earth that I can get through this. It's too hard, it's too much. You throw everything you've got at the situation and you see what sticks and what helps and what gets you through it. And you start learning skills about yourself and things that you can tap as those resources for getting through things. My name is Lauren. I'm a professional violinist and a violin instructor. I like to run and work at a farm animal sanctuary once a week.
Resilience has these two important qualities, both strength and flexibility. Sometimes I feel like to be resilient, I need to be strong. And at other times, I feel like I need to be flexible and change my expectations. And that strength and flexibility together helps me be adaptable as my body changes, as my MS progresses. My name's Chuck Curry. I'm a retired economics professor, and these days I do a lot of diving.
I truly believe part of being resilient is speaking up for yourself when you need to and asking people for things that you need that they may not want to give you and fight for it. And so it's always just bouncing back up and, finding ways to adjust your life regardless of a diagnosis or however you're feeling. My name is Dania Baines. I'm 36 years old. I love music. I enjoy blogging and coloring. And most importantly, I keep my faith in God.
Whatever life throws at you, you just get through it. You got to find a way to get through it. And you just don't let it get you down. Because there's always something there. Whatever state you're in, however bad you might feel on any one particular day, there's always something worth living for. My name is Michael Ogg. I've got primary progressive multiple sclerosis, which I've had for about 20 years. There's no reason that I, just because I use a wheelchair, shouldn't live my life as fully as anybody else. That's what I try to do.
For anybody, regardless of whether you have a chronic illness or not, accepting who you are and what your limitations are is really hard. I have to be really honest with myself about where I am emotionally and how I feel emotionally and physically. Resiliency is a work in progress, and it changes all the time. My name is Rachel Paget. I love to spend time with my husband, Brian. We love to travel, spend time with friends. We like to play board games. We like to cook. We like to be outside.
I think we have the sort of natural machinery to be resilient, and I think human beings have been enormously resilient since the beginning of time. 10,000 years ago, people didn't live very long, and they were confronted with all kinds of adversities all the time. So we've grown or evolved out of that context of enormous kinds of adversities, and we human beings find ways to deal with things. Even when it seems dark and difficult, we typically come out on the other end.
Being resilient doesn't mean that you're happy all the time, that everything is going well. Really being resilient is experiencing the normal ups and downs of life, including the ups and downs that come with MS. The difference is that those challenges, people who are resilient get through them, and they don't dominate their life.
People who tend to be more resilient tend to do that more readily. They think of the world in terms of challenges. They're more confident that they can do it. They sense, I'll get through this somehow. They're more optimistic about it, and they're more flexible.
We know that people who are resilient and have MS are much more likely to have a better quality of life, to report greater happiness, to report less depression, less distress, and to report getting more meaning out of life. We know that some people are born more resilient than other people. Having said that, it's not just a trait. There are many things people can do to learn to be more resilient, and there are a number of skills people can learn or take advantage of to be resilient. We also know that people living with MS come to the disease with a whole host of life experiences and strengths that they already have. And so part of being resilient is recognizing what you're good at or what your strengths are and building on those strengths to deal with the challenges that can come.
Yes, I've got resilience that's maybe some of it was there to start with. Certainly a lot of it has been built up as a result of my physical disability. For quite a while, I had one leg and one arm that didn't work, and then eventually 2 legs and 1 arm that didn't work. And by then I was sort of getting used to the idea. I remember my daughter asking me, said, "Dad, what will happen when you lose the use of your other arm?" And my answer was, "I don't really know, but we'll see when we get there." But I'm sure if it happens, we'll find a way around it. Today, having to deal day to day and hour to hour with getting through having a significant disability, a lot of what I have in me that allows me to do that, I learned from my time riding a bicycle. Because if you're riding for, 100 miles in a day, which is absolutely normal for me, and halfway through and you get heavy rain or it gets cold or the road's steeper than you thought, you don't have much of a choice. I never thought of it at the time, but that's pretty good resilience training. And I think having done something like that, where however bad things might be, you got to hang in there.
The journey is going to take as long as the journey takes, and learning to accept that and to be flexible is incredibly difficult, but I believe I can reach the goals I set for myself as long as I give myself the time to reach them and am flexible and kind to myself in the journey that it takes for me to get there.
When I was an outdoor educator, I worked for a school that did 30-day wilderness expeditions. And once you're out there, you can't do anything about the weather. You just got to deal with it. There are times when you're on an expedition where you just have to keep going, even though the conditions aren't what you would have hoped for and aren't necessarily easy. Resilience is kind of like a muscle that you develop. In my early 20s, my family experienced a tragedy that was devastating, that caused me to reevaluate who I was and relationships that I thought I understood. I didn't anymore. That was an experience that I think helped me become more resilient. It also was an experience that brought me and my mom and sisters in particular closer together, and that support network helped through that family tragedy, and has also been a huge help during and after my diagnosis with MS.
I've recently gone through a very difficult separation and divorce. And when something happens that really threatens your identity in that way, I think it's important to allow yourself to grieve. And then after that process, to really be able to look at life how it is at that point, and then find another way around. Use your resources, pull your resources. So for me, the violin, I try to have it be as close to my inner voice as possible, and to portray the emotions that are called for by the piece, but also in what's going on in my life.
There's a process by which we say, okay, this happened to me, I didn't want this to happen to me. What do I need to do to get beyond this event? And then we shift the way we think about it from threat to think of it as a challenge. So when we have a potentially traumatic experience and we adapt to it, then we are resilient. You still are somebody, and the challenge is now to find out who you are now and to make that bridge to the next bit of your life. And if you think of that as a challenge, then that's where the coping comes in. That's where you can think about, what do I need to do to get back to living a life, whoever I am now?
2 years ago, I swam Lake Washington, which is 2.4 miles across. It's a long way. It was a goal that I set for myself as part of my fitness goal and my rehab goal. That day, when the bank that we were swimming to came in sight and I could put my feet back on the ground, I was really overcome with relief that had actually done this thing that I'd set out to do. And it had really been, 4 years since I'd been in the hospital and been really, really sick and in a very dark place. And that I felt like I'd got that back.
Resilience is the ability to maintain or regain well-being and progress towards valued goals in the face of adversity. And that can include major changes, such as in the case of people with MS, maybe a relapse or a loss of function. They may still have pain and certainly fatigue, but those impact them less. They're able to know that they have those symptoms and manage them proactively without letting their life become about just those symptoms.
When I was officially diagnosed in 2006, I did not take it serious. I absolutely beat myself up sometimes for not starting the medication as early as I should have, but I'm glad that I'm on it now. I just have to make adjustments and move forward as far as, knowing that I still have support. Walk MS is extremely important for me. The first time I participated in the walk, I could not walk myself and my family walked for me. The next year I walked some, but this year I plan to do the family fun walk and one day walk the entire 5K.
I've got the most wonderful daughters who live nearby, and I'm able to spend time with them. And I've got a wonderfully supportive family. My mother is 90 years old and still going strong. She still visits me, and I got wonderful friends who support me a lot as well.
Just knowing people love you, I think it is incredibly supportive and helps me be resilient.
There are a number of skills that people can develop or nurture to be resilient. And those include nurturing supportive relationships. So it might be a friend or family member or someone else living with MS that you talk to. But oftentimes it's important just to spend time and engage in fun, pleasurable, or meaningful activities with people that you enjoy being around.
I decided to go volunteer at a farm where I knew nobody. And some of the people friends that I've made there have become some of my best friends, but also some of the animals. When you're having a really bad day, just to go on out and quite honestly give a pig a belly rub and see how much they're enjoying that, it's been a really good support network, as strange as it is to say that.
Brian is my husband and my partner, and we have been on this incredible journey of our relationship.
We don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know when it's going to happen. By recognizing the lack of control and by giving up trying to take charge of things that I can't take charge of, that helps a lot. I think that her resilience in that way, and drive and focus and positivity, those are the things that guide her through it.
We are very social beings. So a lot of the way we cope with stress is social. There's a tremendous meaning in being with other people and sharing things with other people. And I think it just feels right to be connected to other people and share our experience with other people.
I think resiliency is something you can learn and build, and I think it's probably something that we're all doing anyway, and just being able to tune in to what those things are and do more of them.
There are many different ways to be resilient. For example, for one person, being resilient might really include a lot of engagement in physical activity or supportive relationships. And for another, it might have more to do with communing with nature or setting goals to gradually increase something important to them.
I find kayaking very meditative. I've been doing it for so long. So that rhythmic movement of back and forth, allows me to enter a meditative state and just let my mind unspool. The breath that I've developed through scuba diving is something that I use when I'm out of the water, things I'm worried about or anxious about. It's about hearing them, seeing them, and then saying, oh, okay, I'm having my annual MRI next week. I'm anxious about whether it's gonna show new lesions. Okay, I'm gonna set that thought away now, and I'm gonna come back to my breathing and focus on that. I can go back to my breath, and it really helps center me and keep me calm.
I start my day with praying and reading because stuff can catch you off guard, and it's like, so that's how I start my day, just on a positive note and get my focus for the day. I absolutely love coloring. It allows me to clear my mind, and I also enjoy blogging, and it allows me to clear my mind and get my thoughts out and express how I'm feeling. It's just encouraging to see my progress and to see, like, hey, you're actually doing things. Because I think a lot of times we forget how far we've come.
I have a power wheelchair that's also called a complex rehab or complex rehabilitation wheelchair. And what it allows me to do is get out and enjoy life in the community. So I'm very fortunate that I live very close to Princeton University. So I take the train, and then that brings me pretty much onto the edge of campus, and I get from the station to where my class is. I love being there. I love going to classes. I love being around people who are interested and interesting in all different aspects of life. I jokingly say, but I think there's some truth in it, that being around all of these smart students, I pick up all of their intelligence by osmosis. It's just nice being around smart people, smart young people. I love going into New York. Sometimes on a beautiful day, I'll just go on all of the pathways in Central Park. There are not many places in the world that are nicer than a good day in Central Park.
Resilience is that ability to really bounce back from situations, to take what's handed to you and to be able to make the best of it and continue on with who you are as a person. I love being able to talk about MS and to be a part of the community and to get the word out. It's something that I've always been passionate about, to be able to talk about it and make it not invisible.
Being resilient after the diagnosis has been extremely important because it helps me to be successful in life and not feel like I can't accomplish something, but I can, just push forward and make the necessary adjustments in life or in any situation. I've learned how to ask, for help when I need it. When I look back, I'm like, oh wow, like I couldn't do that before. And so now it feels good to know that because I'm practicing walking and taking the necessary steps to be able to walk, like I can do that now.
Resilience isn't something you do just once. It's a constant practice, like a meditation practice. And in terms of my MS, it's not something that I'm going to overcome, but it's something that I'll need to manage and adapt to for the rest of my life. And I think that ability to manage my disease and adapt to changing circumstances is the core of resilience.
I've always been incredibly private about my illness. As far as I was concerned, it wasn't me. That thought pattern has clearly evolved because I'm sitting here talking about my MS and being open about my disease as I am today has completely changed my life. And in a good way. It's made me stronger. It's made me feel a lot more empowered as an individual. I feel less guilty. I feel happier.
I was diagnosed last July with a very serious GI, gastrointestinal tumor. There's nothing like very nearly dying to really make you appreciate being alive. Today, I literally wake up each morning, and when I wake up, I am so happy to be alive, as long as my mind is working well, that I've got every opportunity and I'm able to do anything that life throws at me. So whatever you throw at me, okay, what you got next?